Hi, everyone, and welcome to the special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and Growing Older with Enthusiasm with Dr. Ron Kaiser. Dr. Ron, how are things? How are things going?
Doing well today. Looking forward to another interesting interview with another interesting guest. How you?
Exactly. And I never thought I'd have a CEO of a hospital on the show, but hey, go figure where we're going in different things. But I have the CEO, Joshua Trout, from a Compass and Encompass Health Rehabilitation Hospital in Greenville. How are you today, sir? And thanks for stopping by.
I am good, thank you. Like I told you guys before, I apologize for my look. I have a day off out with the family, so it doesn't happen too often, but enjoying my time. So I'm excited to be part of your show today.
All right, so
Good
tell
for
me how
you.
this process started, how you became the CEO. What's your background that got you to this level for the
Yeah,
company?
absolutely. So I have 13 EMS and fire background. So did that for quite a long time, and then I ended up going to school to get my master's in healthcare administration. So once I got out of the world of EMS and fire, I started to dip my toes into the operations side of the hospital systems, working more in the business development side of things. So I have about 5 years of business development experience within the healthcare systems. And then at the age of 35, I was blessed to become a CEO for the first time of a critical illness recovery hospital in Pennsylvania. So that's kind of how I got into operations in the healthcare systems. And I was blessed to get a position as a CEO with Encompass Health. And this is kind of unique because it was a hospital that was not established. It's a de novo hospital. So I moved from Pennsylvania to South Carolina and actually built the physical hospital and the entire team. So it's been a blast.
So tell us a little bit about the population of your hospital.
Yeah, absolutely. So we specialize in patients that have had traumatic injuries, whether that's a vehicle accident or what we're seeing a lot down in Greenville area is a lot of outdoor accidents, bicycle and hiking. It's a very outdoorsy kind of area. But obviously, patients that have suffered stroke is what we're really focusing on the most. So in 2022, we actually saw 177 patients that came in with a new onset of stroke that we were able to work with. And, again, with our physical therapy, our occupational therapy, speech therapy, and our nursing staff and physicians, we've done a pretty good job of being able to take care of those patients. And 80% of them actually went home. So that is what we specialize in is patients that have had stroke. But like I've mentioned earlier, patients that have had replacements, so knees, hips, or something else that we deal with on this side, not as commonly as the more critical ill patients.
What is the age of the population you serve mostly, would you say?
Yeah, 18 and up. But we do talk sometimes with physicians that have like a 16-year-old, 17-year-old that might be of an adult size. If they meet that adult size, we can go and take care of them well.
What about with the stroke patients? Can that occur anytime in life, or does it favor a particular age range?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what we have seen in Greenville, South Carolina, we're not only in the Bible Belt, but we're also what's known as the stroke belt. So unfortunately, we see a lot of people that have strokes, even at a young age. We've had, I think the youngest we've had so far has been 21 years old. So that has been something that we're seeing more commonly. It's something that with our advanced care technology, thank goodness we're able to get those back to normal life for the most part. But yeah, it's not like it used to be back in the day where it was people in their 70s and 80s and 90s. We're seeing them in the 20s and 30s. And unfortunately, with the pandemic, we've even seen that increase.
Is there a reason for that, or a reason why one part of the country is stroke belt?
That's a great question. Coming from Pennsylvania, I also was very unfamiliar with why, because we didn't see it as much as Pennsylvania. So unfortunately, one thing that I noticed as an outsider coming to South Carolina was I've noticed there's a lot of people that smoked more than I saw up in Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, the smoking population, the population that, is just unhealthy, we're seeing an increase in that. But obviously, the side effects of the pandemic, right, the side effects of COVID we have seen also has led to stroke. So that, again, that's where we're seeing that influx of younger population coming through with strokes.
Yeah, that's crazy. And to think about specifically enough, well, let's talk the older population. Do you serve a lot of older population in your hospital that have come in?
We do, yeah. I would still say while the population is getting younger with the strokes, obviously the heavier population has been within the 80s and 90-year-olds. So that's something that we unfortunately have to work with a lot. And, you know, it's difficult with the healing process the older you are, especially with more the comorbidities rather, sorry. We try our to get them back home, normally on home health, but sometimes they have to go to the next level of care, which is the nursing home.
What I'm wondering, the very nature of who you treat, whether it be stroke, orthopedic injury, brain injury, I assume a lot of people, unlike some hospitals, a lot of people, this has been an abrupt change in their life. And I'm just wondering uh, how you find that psychologically, and are there resources that you either have or refer to help with that transition?
That's a wonderful question. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of these people are living a normal life, right? And they have this traumatic injury happen or the stroke happen, and it just flips their lives upside down. And what's unique is we always focus so much on the patients, but we forget about those that are around them, right? Those caretakers, those family members. So something that we really try to do at Encompass Health is not just focus strictly on the patient, but also the resources in for those that surround them, right? The families and the support care. So we do have psych services that we have on site. So we try to do a psych eval buddy, just because I think, hey, who doesn't need one, right? I need one every once in a while. Mental health is very important, and we're learning that as a country how important it is that we focus on that. So we do provide those psych evaluations for the patients, but also provide the resources for those that are around them as well.
And that process of running a hospital, that's got to be a challenge as CEO. Like, what are your responsibilities on a regular basis? What time is your day start, and what time are you finished?
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's a great question too. It kind of fluctuates, but on average, I've been blessed with a phenomenal leadership team, and those below them are working at a high level too. So that makes things a little bit easier for me. Where I'm normally there around 7:30 to 5 on average. There's some weekend nights that I come in to see the night staff, but there's a lot of moving parts. You're absolutely right, and the pandemic has just made it probably about 10 times harder, right? You have your day-to-day operations you got to deal with, but now you have a very sick population with a lot of dynamics that come with that. So it's been difficult. It's been stressful on staff. It's been stressful on our leadership team. But it's been it's all about us coming together as a team. And like I've mentioned, and I can't say this enough, I've just been tremendously blessed with an unbelievable leadership team that makes things a lot easier.
And you serve, like, how big a geographic area do you serve?
Sorry, I was coming off mute there. Yeah, so we cover our main portion is the upstate, what they call the upstate of South Carolina. But what's kind of neat is we kind of edge the Tennessee, the Georgia line, and also North Carolina. So we get a lot of patients out of Charlotte area. We get a lot of patients out of lower portion of Tennessee, and then obviously Georgia. So we have a pretty big area, and what we've noticed too is a lot of our patients may be on vacation down the beaches in the lower portion of South Carolina, and they want to come home, right? They might go down there on vacation, unfortunately have an injury or a stroke, but they want to come back home for their care. So we'll get them out of the eastern coast as well.
And do they generally get referred to you, or if somebody needs a hospital of your type, do they check out different things, or is there a specific area? I fortunately haven't had to use services like yours.
That's good.
I'm just wondering how somebody winds up in a place like yours.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of twofold. So we have a lot of, Encompass has done a great job. We have 153 hospitals nationally. So we're a very big organization. We are the leader within the market. So because of that, Encompass has a really good name. So people are very familiar with that name, and they know that that's the place to go for the rehab care. But with that being said, we also have a fairly large marketing team. So a business development team that we have liaisons that go into these hospital systems, work with the physicians, work with the case managers to identify patients that meet our criteria. And if they meet criteria and we get the insurance approval, that's when we bring them indoor. So, our liaisons are very, very highly trained. They are either physical therapists, occupational therapists, nurses, or speech therapists that understand exactly what requirements are needed to come into a rehab hospital. So that's kind of how we get our patients.
And the only other question I have, since I tend to work with older folks like me, in general, are there specific issues or problems that apply to the older population, or if somebody is injured, they're kind of in that category, whether they're 30 or 60 or 80 or whatever?
Yeah, no. So, we see a lot of, if not the stroke, we see a lot of the hip and knee replacements, obviously, as we get older. I'm 40 years old and I feel like I'm already knocking on door for a hip replacement. So you just never know when you need one, right? Younger or older, but that's something that we see a lot of in the older population. Falls is a big one. A lot of people that are older that lose their balance, their gait's not as strong. The fall, that could be pretty traumatic, right? And then depending on what else they have going on with their health, things can kind of start going, south fairly quickly. So, I would say the falls, the knees, the hips, the strokes are something that we see a lot of in the older population. Sometimes the cardiac as well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering, do they present any different kind of problems with an older person, or is it just kind of depend on the person?
Yeah, that's a great question. It depends on that person, right? You'll see some of the older population that just didn't live a very healthy life. Obviously, they don't progress as quickly as those that did, right? So I think it's definitely a case by case basis.
Oh my goodness. Well, we're talking about going back into marketing, and you said you huge marketing team. Is there competition that you have to deal with with the hospital?
There is, yeah. So we have a couple other rehabs within the area. Both of those actually the three rehabs that are competition, that will be called competition, but we really don't look at them as that. Is they're all part of their own healthcare system, where we're the only ones that independent. So it's unique. We're coming into a new market. We're not tied to any one healthcare system. So gaining the trust, takes some time. And how do we do that? It's by high quality care, and then the doctors having trust in us. But going back to the other competition, where I said we don't really call it competition, it's about patients, it's about people's lives. And what I have done, and my leadership team has done, is we've actually met with those other rehabs and say, hey, you know what? We're not here to compete with you. We want to work with you for the community. And it's worked really well. And what's really unique is some of those rehabs have actually referred to us patients that they don't normally take care of. So it's been really unique.
All right, Dr. Ron, any other questions you have for Joshua?
No, I think he's answered all my questions. I just
definitely, yeah,
want him to have a real good time off, because I'm sure that he's earned it.
Well, he's earned it, and again, he's shown he can be able to do an interview anywhere, and I've done those too. So, Joshua, it's not the easiest thing, but you got to show up, and that's a great thing what you did. Where do people can find information if they're in the South Carolina region, especially Greenville? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, you can go to our website, so Encompass, encompasshealth.com, and you can go ahead, and there's going to be a part where you can click on regions within the United States. And whatever region you may be in, you can see if there's one close to you. So that's the best way to do it. Instead of giving you the full website, that can be a little confusing. Go to encompasshealth.com, and you can go into the section where it says regions, click the state that you're in, and you can see where your closest rehab hospital is.
All right. We appreciate it. All right. Good talking to you. Okay. All right, guys. That was Growing Older with Enthusiasm on the Neil Haley Show. Take care.